say, you guys are a very lively bunch for a Tuesday morning. In any event, my name is Charlie, and I work with Mold Busters, which, well, has anyone here heard of Mold Busters before? A couple people. So essentially what we are what we all sound like. So we are Ottawa's leading indoor environmental specialists. So we primarily specialize in indoor air quality testing for mold, asbestos, and we also specialize in the removal and remediation of those two substances. So Mold Busters, like I mentioned, we are Ottawa's leading indoor environmental experts. So for the last 15 years, we've been conducting a variety of indoor assessments for homes and businesses. And this ranges from determining whether or not there's a problem within the structure, or whether or not the indoor air quality could affect some of life's most precious little gems. So we do specialize in indoor air quality testing, and I'm going to spend a little bit of time speaking on that specifically later on. But we also do a variety of other things. Primarily, we excel in mold awareness education. So we do these kinds of presentations all the time. For real estate agents, home inspectors, the average Joe, we believe that educating people not only on mold, but on the options to properly remove and remediate this problem is exceptionally important. We also strive to provide effective online marketing, meaning that we want to make sure that our message or the awareness of mold gets out to everyone, and that people like yourself can have the resources available at your disposal whenever you want. So we focus on aggressive online marketing to promote our services. Additionally, we also strive naturally to be the very best in customer service, and we'll spend a little bit of time explaining what we do, what our process is later on. In addition to that, Mold Busters, we consider ourselves to be a multifaceted company. So we don't only just look after mold. We're not specifically a mold company. We do thermal imaging inspections. We have recently started to get into the 3D printing industry. So essentially we will cover a wide array of different services, but specifically geared towards indoor environmental services. So Mold Busters is not only an Ottawa company, we are an international company. The idea originally started in Russia, and then about 7 years ago, in 2005, I guess that would be 8 years ago now, we moved our headquarters over to Ottawa. And then quickly we decided to open up an office in Montreal, which gained a lot of success. And then we started to expand to the GTA. And now over the years, we have had franchises or offices open in the west of Canada. So we were talking earlier about Vancouver, British Columbia, and how that's a hot spot for mold and potential, I guess, money. Well, we have explored that in the past, and we will in the future. Currently, we're focusing our efforts in Singapore and in Malaysia. So we consider ourselves to be well-rounded in the sense that we have an international overview of a very common problem. Now, mold, for example, has been around since the beginning of time. In fact, in the book of Deuteronomy in the Bible, you could find examples of what to do with situations having to do with mold. So what is our secret? Now, a lot of companies won't reveal their secrets to just about anyone, but we aren't that company. We believe that this secret needs to be shared with everyone. Our secret in our industry is that it's not mold until it's tested. There's been a lot of situations for us when we've walked into a home where a person is absolutely convinced that what's growing on their windowsills or what's growing at the baseboards of their basement is mold. It's black, it smells musty, and they're absolutely convinced. But it's not necessarily the case. I'll give you an example. This is actually a picture that I took of a home that we inspected in Greeley. It was on the market. Beautiful home, I think it's about $800,000 in terms of a sale. And the potential buyers felt something in the basement, and they wanted to test it. So I walked downstairs. I'm expecting, you know, when I'm walking to an area where people feel the presence of mold, I'm expecting it to be dingy, dark, and I walk into this, absolutely beautiful and exquisite, and I'm scratching my head like, these people are crazy. There's absolutely no mold in here whatsoever. So we do an indoor air quality test, because all the tests showed no signs of mold. There was no moisture behind the walls, the humidity levels were in check, the ventilation systems were impeccable, windows were just replaced. I mean, this was a pristine home, in my opinion. In my professional opinion, it was pristine. So we do some indoor air quality tests. The results were absolutely disastrous. This is photos of the remediation process. So one of those walls that you could see in the previous picture, when we had removed it, The other wall was completely saturated with Stachybotrys, which is a toxigenic form of black mold. So things are not always what they seem. I'll give you a flip side example. This is another picture that I took. That's my white hand. And basically this is a two-bedroom apartment in Gatineau. The tenant was sick, allergic reaction, she was completely stuffed up. I walk into the washroom, all of the ceilings, the walls, black. Spots, it's peeling, humidity levels almost up to 60%. To me, all I'm seeing is a potential dollar sign. If you guys know what I mean, this is a mold problem personified. We do the indoor air quality test. It's cleaner than I've ever seen any other apartment in my entire life. The spore levels were minute, and there was no fungal contamination issue whatsoever. So for us in this industry, our secret is that it's not mold until it's tested. And so we really try to push that idea that without having things properly tested with a certified accredited laboratory, it's almost impossible to determine with certainty that it is in fact mold, and if so, is it a type of mold that could be hazardous to the health of the occupants. The reason is that there's over 10,000 different species of known mold. All mold is allergenic. So there's not a single species that isn't. So everyone will react to mold differently one to another. This is important because Health Canada actually strays away from establishing any particular threshold levels for exposure to mold because of this. All mold is allergenic, so every single human being, everyone in this room will react to mold differently one to the other. So there's no possible way to establish a recommended threshold level. Now, with mold species, it can get dangerous, and this is why testing is important. Because out of all of those species, there's a percentage that is toxigenic and even carcinogenic in terms of their nature. So it's important to determine with certainty what you're dealing with in order to propose an effective remediation plan. The other interesting thing about mold is that it only takes about 24 to 48 hours for it to start growing and becoming a problem. So a lot of times you could walk into a home, and I'm sure you guys have all done this, you walk into a home, everything's great, and then the next day there's a slight flood. Little flood, maybe the sump pump runs over a little bit. You clean it up real quick and you think, okay, well we nipped it in the bud. That's not always the case. It doesn't take much at all for the organic-based materials to get saturated and that growth to occur. Which is why testing is important at every possible level. Now we have seen in our industry that mold damages health. It destroys the structure of buildings and it can kill real estate deals. More often than not, we're called in at the last minute where there's a potential sale on the line. The home inspection is going through, and he goes up and he goes into the attic, and the home inspector sees black spots on the beams in the attic, writes black mold on the report, and then completely kills the whole momentum of that sale. So then they call us in to double check, to test to see if it is in fact mold. And I'll tell you what, 8 times out of 10 it's not. Discolored building material, rotting wood, a variety of other things. So mold really does need to be tested by a laboratory to determine whether or not it is. So for us, indoor air quality testing is probably the most accurate, reliable, and cheapest way to do this. And the reason is that indoor air quality tests are essential in determining existing and potential problems. So indoor air quality tests, has anyone here ever seen one done in a home before? Right? It's a pretty simple process, right? It's a little tiny machine for the most part, stands on a tripod. It's like a vacuum, it sucks in the air. And essentially what it does is it absorbs all of the solid airborne particles that are floating around, puts it onto a glass slide, onto a cassette. That cassette is sent to a laboratory where it's analyzed microscopically to determine every single particle that was absorbed and to give us our properties and concentration levels. So this is great because mold spores are invisible to the naked eye. We cannot see them. So they could be in this room right now and we won't really know until we get it properly analyzed. So it's great to being able to pick out problems that you can't see or problems that are in the making. It's also, we believe that they're required to determine whether or not a house is considered safe for habitation. Now, although Health Canada strays from establishing a particular numeric threshold for exposure levels, they do have certain criteria and standards for indoor air quality. Generally speaking, Health Canada states that if any room within a home has an overall spore count of under 1,500 spores per cubic meter, it's considered to be safe. Anything that's over is considered to be unsafe or not safe for habitation. So this is important, especially nowadays, where a lot of people are becoming more and more conscious of the air they breathe, and they want to ensure that what they are breathing is in fact safe and healthy. As Canadians, we spend 90% of our time indoors. So it's important that the air that we breathe in our home or office is safe and healthy. So indoor air quality tests are the first and last steps in mold remediation. Why do you guys think that is? It's simple. For us, we need... it's so early. That's always my way of gauging. You're like, have they fallen asleep yet? You guys are all pros at sleeping with your eyes open. No, essentially for us, doing a test before and after is a way of establishing the problem, then doing the work, and then confirming that the problem has in fact been properly remediated according to standards. So we need that before and after comparison to put everyone's mind at rest. Now we believe that indoor air quality tests should be mandatory for any sale of a home. Now I know that sounds kind of crazy, but think of it in this way, that it'll save more people money in the long run by doing this testing, establishing whether or not there's a potential problem, fixing it, and then moving on. Also, indoor air quality tests can protect owners, buyers, and sellers across the board. One of the examples that we recently had of this is in Saint Lazare, Quebec. A woman who was the owner of this beautiful palatial home, and she was renting it out, and she was away out of the country for a year. Unbeknownst to her, her tenants decided to start a grow operation in their home. And they had done some beautiful, beautiful renovation work. They drilled a hole through the living room floor where they put their exhaust fan out. Now their wiring system must have been done by chipmunks, because it made no sense to any of us whatsoever. It was completely demolished. There was mold growing on the inside everywhere. The laminate floors in the basement were completely saturated with water. When she came back to a vacant home, the police, hydro bills, and everything shut off, she needed to get some help right away. Now, fortunately, before she had rented out this home, before she had put it on the market for renting, she had done an indoor air quality test to determine that everything was safe. So we had a comparison of what to draw on beforehand. And then we saw the effects of the problem, and then we saw the consequences of that, mold growing, spore counts through the roof. And then when we did the remediation work, we were able to provide them with a clean bill of health for the home. So in the end, it actually does save people a lot of money, a lot of time, and a lot of headache. So for us, our process is very simple. If you're trying to figure out, okay, well, how do we get you guys in? How do we get you in to save money and save time? Always begins with a phone call. Give us a call. We could usually do same-day appointments if you're in the Ottawa surrounding region. If not same day, next day. And we don't just say that, we actually do it. There's a lot of companies that will offer, for example, 45 minutes emergency service, and you'll be waiting a couple weeks to get a call back. For us, we're right in there right away. And we provide comprehensive visual assessments of the property when we're doing an assessment. So it's not that we just walk in with a camera flashlight on our phone and jot down a few notes. We run through a wide variety of diagnostic tools. So we'll check the humidity levels, we'll look for moisture, we'll do particle scans. Our technicians are certified thermographers, so they can do infrared scanning on the spot. So basically they'll get a good overview of the condition of the home, and then take it to the next level, do the indoor air quality assessment. And we send our samples to a certified accredited government laboratory, so it's third party. We don't look after the analysis of it whatsoever, zero conflict of interest. And afterwards we provide you with a full detailed report detailing all of the findings and our recommendations on what to do about it. So in one quick phone call, you can literally have all of your problems solved. Now someone asked us beforehand, do you guys just do the testing or you guys do the remediation as well? Well, naturally, we also do the remediation, and we believe that that's why we're so effective at picking out the problems and providing an effective remediation plan, is that we know the problem from the inside out. As I showed you one of the first pictures before, I saw the wall, it looked just as beautiful as this, but we know what can lie behind it. We know the structure of buildings. We know how things are put together. And that makes us effective at doing mold inspections. So we understand the problem from the inside out. And our goal is always to eradicate the source of the problem. It's not just to do a patch job, it's not to paint over it, it's not to spray some mold remover, cleaning products on top of it and call it a day. Our goal is let's find out what the real reason of the problem is and let's fix it. Even if it means getting our hands dirty and losing money, that's our goal. Our goal is to protect what's most important. The gems in our life, the people in our life who matter most. And our policy for us is to ensure that there's no resurgence of growth. Meaning, and how do we ensure that? Well, for us is once we find the source of the problem, we will implement or we will recommend things for the person to do so that it doesn't come back. If the source of the problem, for example, was poor ventilation, we have ventilation systems that we can install to ensure that that problem is corrected. If it has to do with a leaky foundation, we'll make sure it's corrected. So our goal is essentially to establish that there's no resurgence of growth, not only by fixing the problem, but by educating people on what to do about it in the future. When my partner and I first bought our first house, I was 21, I had no idea about anything. So we walked into this home, it was brand new to us, it was on the market for me about 3 years. Everything was clean, just like perfect home. So maybe after about 2 weeks or so, Courtney was complaining. She got headaches and this and headaches that, and I was flat. We were all flat broke. We were 21, just bought a house, and it was not a good thing. But she really wanted the air quality of the home tested. I, at that point, had never heard of this. It wasn't my industry back then. I was working as a counselor in a drug rehab program, so I had no idea about indoor air quality testing. And so we went ahead and we did it. So we got some indoor air quality testing done. Sure enough, there was mold in our home. Brand new home, 3 years old. Everything brand new. And the company that came in, it wasn't Mold Busters, it was another one that came in at that time, and it indicated to us that because it was all brand new home, it was built airtight to conserve energy and to ensure that in the wintertime there'd be no heat loss. It was really well constructed, but the problem was in the summertime when the humidity levels are up, all that condensation, there was no room for it to breathe like older homes. So condensation started building up behind walls, and we started having a mold problem growing without us knowing it. And that started affecting her health. She was getting headaches, like I said. So it was a really interesting problem. So for us, we want to make sure that we not only correct the problem, but also figure out what we can do to educate people about taking care of it themselves. Our goal is always to improve the overall indoor air quality of a home and give everybody, absolutely everybody, the peace of mind that they deserve to know that they're working in a safe environment and they're sleeping in a safe environment as well.
Is that you in that picture?
Which, no, I don't think so. I do have a picture of me in a crazy looking mask though, maybe next time I'll bring that over. But also, as I mentioned before, Mold Busters, we always strive to be different. We strive to go above and beyond and try to be cutting edge in terms of not only this industry, but of different things across the board. So we encourage you, I was looking around the room, everyone here's got a smartphone. Everyone. So I encourage you to download our mold inspection app right now. It's a challenge, actually. Can you do it? And basically it's a free app, and you can use it anytime you want. You're on the job, you just have some questions, you see something that's anomalous that you want to get inspected, download the app, fill in the information. It's a two-step process. Take a picture or a video of the problem, upload it directly to us. We'll call you within half an hour and give you an idea of what the problem is. So it's something that we developed ourselves. We're the only people on the market that have this type of inspection app, and we highly encourage you to use it.
Is it just called mold inspection?
Yeah, just type mold inspection in Google Play or Apple Store, whatever it is that you
got Mold Busters too.
Exactly. Yeah, we actually have a game. We have wallpapers. We have a book, which is what I'm going to talk about next. We actually have our own book called "It's Not Mold Until It's Tested." You could download it, on Amazon, Kobo, all the usual spots. You can order a hard copy if you would like.
Inspect it like a girl. Is that yours?
Inspect it like a girl?
Not quite. Just because I'm wearing pink does not necessarily mean
Question.
Yeah, if you just type mold inspection, it should come up as like an orange symbol.
Yeah,
exactly what you see up here.
Can I
And,
ask
yep,
Sorry, didn't know you were keeping going.
no, go ahead.
Quick question. Is someone with a sump pump in the house, is that an indication that there's probably going to be some moisture in the house because there's like water in your basement?
Yes, well, of course, there's going to be water vapor, because usually the sub pump's put into a concrete foundation, so that combination of moisture, water with concrete will create what's called water vapor, and that can be problematic. Now, again, every home is very individualized, so not every sub pump home
Okay, I
will
just
be
wondered
like,
if standing water or running water into the home and stuff would, I mean, it creates humidity, so I was just wondering if that's going to be a problem.
oh, absolutely. Well, it will create just as much of a problem as taking a warm shower without putting on the exhaust fan.
Okay.
So it's something that every home will have, but unless you do something about it regularly, that's when it could create a problem. It's a really great question, though. So our book is something that we encourage people to get. It covers everything, top to bottom, about what mold is, the intricacies of that problem, and our remediation process. Also, we decided to put some of our courses, some of the things that we do like this, online for people to take. So as we said before, we really believe that mold awareness is important. We don't want to just push our services. We want people to just be aware that there is certain things that can be done about it beforehand. So we encourage you guys. It's a free course. Go to Udemy, just type in Mold Busters, and you'll be able to take our free courses. They were originally designed by us for real estate agents. Actually, this course is in the process of being approved by RICO, so it could become part of the ongoing curriculum. And it's something that we're really happy about. We're continually adding to it. We have hundreds of people taking the course already with a lot of positive results. So it's something that if you have some time and just want some more knowledge about, we encourage you guys to go and check out. And lastly, you can visit us. We are everywhere online. If there's a potential niche for our site to get put, we are on that like you would not believe. So please visit our website at www.busmold.com. You can find everything that we just talked about today. You can find a link to download the app, link to download the book, find out all of our information, all of our contact info, all of our services, absolutely everything you can find at www.busmold.com. That's it for our presentation. Thank you guys very much. We really, really appreciate it.